Good morning and welcome to day 2 of Mike and Jeff's Hobbython. I'm your host, Mike, and with me is always Jeff. Hey, that one worked.
Yeah, went through okay.
Okay, come on. God, you got to give me a little bit more than okay.
A-okay.
Okay. Okay, I'll take that. So, as Jeff and I had to switch hats for the last couple minutes as we chatted and became internet technicians, trying to figure out what's going on with Mike's computer. One of the things, if you ever decide to get into streaming, you'll become is internet savvy. And going through the process of eliminations, we still don't know what's wrong with Mike's computer. However, as of right this moment, things are okay.
Yeah, for now. I wouldn't have used the word savvy to describe what we are.
No, we're just pulling at strings. So last night after the stream, and I love our beginning of our shows because we just ramble about the stupidest stuff, but maybe somebody will get something out of it. After the stream, I went through and I downed my modem from Cox, unplugged everything from my Nighthawk Wi-Fi modem, unplugged everything from my computer, and then plugged everything back in because maybe there was something that was getting a loose connection. We don't know. Called Cox. Cox said everything was good, but I should upgrade my plan.
Well,
whatever.
You can't have a phone call with them without a sales pitch.
Yeah, that's what sucks about Cox anymore. Or any big corporation, especially with technology. It's like, yes, you need to upgrade your plan, and that's like, okay, why do I need to upgrade my plan? If you're saying everything's good, I shouldn't need to upgrade my plan. It's like, well, you can't have more than 8 devices on your internet. I'm like, well, I've only got like 4 devices on my internet, so why do I need to upgrade to something that gives me more than that? Like, I don't know. So Cox says everything's good on their end. I unplugged everything, plugged everything back in. Jeff and I were messing around earlier this morning, well, talking, and I am dropping signal somehow. I don't know what's going on, why it's dropping signal. It just is.
Everything on your end looks fine now, though, from my vantage point.
And then as soon as the thing pops up, I'll get all digitized and probably lock up again. So today, the only other thing is like process elimination. Next thing I got to look at are the modems.
Like, yeah, we'll figure you'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing I got left to look at.
We could always try to maybe next weekend or maybe tonight I'll host instead of you,
okay,
and see if that makes a difference.
Hey, so after the show you'll set up tonight's stream?
Yep, I'll set up tonight's stream, and
we got to give morning, Joe. We will forgive. Thanks, Joe. Because no, I set up the Thursday nights thing. No, you set it up. You set up
Thursday nights. It was me. Yeah, back we did Thursday nights, Wednesday and Thursday.
We were testing your system.
Yep.
And you didn't say anything about me being digitized.
Nope.
So could it just be my Wi-Fi?
It could be something on your end where it's just not handling the bandwidth. Yeah. And so I'll for the 7 o'clock show tonight, I'll host that. We'll see how it goes.
All right, there we go, and we'll see how today goes. Because right now it's 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday in my sleepy little town of Surprise, Arizona, and I don't think a lot of people are up playing video games yet. So maybe as a community, like I'm able to get a little bit more bandwidth because not everybody's up streaming and all that other stuff. And normally, I don't think like last Saturday morning we didn't. Good morning, Heron. Last Saturday morning we didn't have an issue.
Nope.
So, but last night we had a major issue, and yesterday, Friday morning, we had a major issue.
Yeah, I think you're just dealing with demand on what's going on. I'm actually watching a lovely layer of snow falling on us here, which is awesome.
And today it's going to be like 80, 75,
awesome.
80.
Yeah. I said I love snow. I love winter. I like it when there's snow on the ground. We're looking at up to about an inch.
And you keep it. And then on top of that, I made some adjustments with my camera because I thought my camera was too high and it was I thought it might be catching focusing in on the wrong thing. So,
right.
So yeah, so we're chipping away at it, trying to bring you the best quality streaming we possibly can on a cheap budget because we're cheap.
we have a budget.
No, that's why it's got to be cheap.
I was gonna say I must have missed a meeting.
My webcam is the original webcam that we started with back at IoT.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that last night because I've upgraded my webcam twice since.
Yeah,
since we
and
started.
I'm still using the one that we had during. It still has the little label sticker on the top of it telling us which camera it is, because we had two different cameras when we started, and we had to have two different model cameras, but they looked the same, but they had to be different models because that's how OBS works and all that kind of stuff. Is you got to have really weird stuff. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So fingers crossed. We'll see how the day goes.
Yeah, no, I think this will be fine.
I am typical Arizona Deseret. When the temp hits 50, yes.
Well, it is right now 29 degrees, and we are getting a lovely little snow flurry. So,
gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. So we are in day 2 of our hobbython.
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 Not hobbython, different thing.
My goal for this morning's stream is to really start cranking on my bases, because I want to get my infantry mounted, because I'm really concerned about all these little people over here disappearing. Like something like a cat coming in my room going, oh, what are those?
Well, why don't we recap what we got done yesterday?
Sure.
Because last night we had people may not have watched.
Sure.
What'd you get done yesterday?
Yesterday was a big accomplishment because it was focusing solely on the infantry. So I'm painting Legion Imperialis, and I just focused on painting infantry, got all of my infantry. Again, I'm not doing a lot of, like we talked about, not going down the rabbit hole of detail on the infantry, just pulling out like the weapons. Like I did a base coat, a wash, a dry brush on all the uniforms.
Yep.
And everything. And now I'm just going through and pulled out all the weapon details and backpack details, just using contrasting colors. So the uniforms are very light. Then I'm using a silver for everything else. So got all the main infantry done. I still have to do the 2 command squads.
Right.
I got all my other stuff primed. I got a lot of the work done on my Warhound Titan. And I had to build all my bases, gluing on the washers, got all that done. So it was like a big, a lot of prep work and everything. So now today it's going to be just a lot of painting work.
Well, I essentially did the same thing, but I'm working on my Tale of Four Warlords project that I'm working on with Build Paint Play.
Okay.
I got all my terrain bases done, painted, which was really cool. 33 of them, 34 of them. But then I also, in the afternoon, managed to get all of my models mounted as well. So there's my Inceptors, because I'm going away from the plastic rod that holds them up. I'm hiding that in the foliage. So all 34 models are now mounted. So all I got to do now is just start painting the actual, more of the actual model.
Yeah. So I think we're at the paint phase now.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I still got to do I got to put some foliage on some of the other of the bases.
Yeah.
For like my the troops that aren't using jump packs. But other than that, all I got to do now is paint the models and just do some finishing touches. So we're good.
Yeah. So yesterday was prep day. Today's paint day. Next 2 days we'll be spending paint. So hopefully today the big obviously finish my bases. And I want to get a wash on all my tanks, because I'm using the GW Death Guard green for my tanks. Basically, It's actually a really good military green.
Yeah, it is.
So I could actually see painting like regular military tanks with it, almost like an olive green.
Right.
So I want to get washes on all of my tanks and some of my heavy supports, work on my bases. And then I'm thinking this afternoon, by the time I get my bases done, my washes should be dry. I'll start doing my building my infantry bases, painting up. I think it's just gonna be all that kind of stuff, dude. It's just
Cool.
I'm excited about it. Like, hopefully by the end of the weekend, like I'm just doing the starter set, like one
Right.
side of the starter set, but I should have it all done to like a good tabletop standard by the end of the weekend.
I have basically 3 Terminators to finish, and I want to do 3 of my 3-man squad of intercessors. If I can get those 6 models done by the end of tomorrow, I will be happy. Which is going to be a feat. So.
Well, that's a lot because you're painting to a certain standard. Because this is going to be an army that's going to be on display at Adepticon.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think we're gonna get together to play a couple games, the 4 of us. So.
But aren't you displaying them too?
No, well, other than when we're at the table, I mean, people won't come by and take a look at them. We're not doing anything official. There's no big official thing, but we just decided the 4 of us are all going to be at Adepticon. We might as well get together and play some games in the evening. So.
And what is Dave's working? What is he working his own booth?
Or? No. Dave will be working. I think he's working at a different booth for a part of the days.
Okay.
I think John Schaefer and Jake are just going to Adepticon. I'm not sure what they're doing during the day. I'll be at the Battlefront booth for the day. During the day, then at the end of the day, we're going to get together and try to play some games.
I just know Dave has a bunch of books out. Like he has the artist series, he has Mel's book out, he has his book out, and I think he did a dungeon book.
I think so.
Yeah, I think there's something about like a dungeon book he did. So he's done some. I didn't know if he was running his own booth with his publications or
no, not to my knowledge. I know today Dave is running a paint and take at a store down in Baltimore that just relocated called Games and Stuff, which is a great store.
I've heard of that.
But he's doing a paint and take down there. So Dave does a lot of that kind of stuff. Dave also goes out and helps the Adepticon crew paint terrain for the events.
Yes.
So there's a big, huge meeting. So that I'm not sure where he's working during the day, but I know he'll be in the dealers for part of the day. I'll be there most of the day, each day for the dealers room itself. But then in the evening, we're supposed to be getting together to just see about playing some games, stuff like that.
Go out to dinner, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what the plan is, but we're not doing anything official. Where we're like having a big event where people can come see him. We're hoping though that because everybody that watches Bill Payne Play is going to be at Adepticon, that we'll get some traction.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. But I'm sure you guys will end up doing some dinners and stuff like that, and just
see what happens.
Having a good time at Adepticon.
I will. I am just playing it by ear.
That's all you can do. But you're doing it on the work ticket, so you're going to be working away at it. So it's always a little different when you have to work the event versus just being there hanging out at the event.
Well, yeah, I did it for so long. I have to kind of get back into the event mode where it's actually not work. So because normally when I got to the point when I work a show, when we closed the booth, I'd just go to the hotel room. I'd get my dinner and have my dinner and go, But if I didn't take the crew out for dinner, I'd just go back to my room and do something there. Just because I was so immersed in the dealer's room all day long. You're just mentally exhausted.
That's what I was just going to say. Working the dealer's room, because you're just constantly talking to people all day long, moving product around, cleaning the product up, picking up. You're just constantly. It's a little booth. It's not like a store, so it's crammed full of stuff. And then people just come in and move stuff, and then you're like, you got to move it back and clean it all up. I've only worked one booth, and that was last year at Gen Con.
Right.
And even then I was like, it's a lot of work. And then I would just leave. I'm like, this is too much work. I'm gonna go buy stuff.
Well, the thing that a lot of people don't realize that when you turn your hobby into a career, you kind of lose a little bit of what brought you into the hobby to begin with.
Yes.
Because I would spend so much time during the day just up to my eyeballs in the hobby and talking to other people and everything else. At the end of the day, you're just exhausted.
Yeah, you're done with
it. And so it's difficult.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also not tied. I'm not really tuned into the Gen Con crowd.
Right.
That was a tongue twister for some odd reason. So I don't have hookup group. Like I don't have people to go hang out with at night at Gen Con other than like with Jason and the guys from Gameland Game. And to be honest with you, I'm like, that's not really where I want to go. Like they do like business meetings after work.
Right.
And they're doing all the hey, Victor,
Hey.
what's up, buddy?
Victor's in LA.
I wonder if he's running Historicon.
I have no idea.
Are you running Historicon? Because isn't that in LA?
Well, we have a Historicon here, but that's in PA.
Okay. Well, I know he has there's some sort of an event up in
There could be a Historicon on the West Coast. I'm not sure.
I forget. He mentioned something one day to me.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I'm just not really I'm not into that community, that gaming. So I don't know what people do at night. Like when I was there, a lot of people just went to the hotel and played games in the lobby.
When I get that's always fun. When I get back from Adepticon, I'll bring up speed.
All right.
But I think it's surprise this week.
Strategicon. He's at Strategicon.
Ah,
There you go. Well, have fun, Victor.
I did get a surprise this week.
Oh, I saw something. What did you get?
You remember when GW changed to their new website?
I think you mentioned a thing or two about it.
Yeah, I had placed an order just before they switched over for the Ancestors Wrath.
Yep.
For the Votan. That was their big model, their 30th anniversary model, blah blah blah.
You mean the squat model?
The squat model. and then I also saw when I was ordering the squat model that they had a reprint make to order on the original Rogue Trader book.
Yes, they do.
And then they switched over their new website, and in my order history disappeared. It wasn't in my order history. I had basically prepaid like $138. They kept saying, nope, you'll get it, but it never showed up. But
look at that. They both showed up. Fantastic.
They both showed up yesterday.
That's the old Rogue Trader book, and it's an exact replica. It's like
this is absolutely an exact copy of what it looked like when I picked this thing up in 1987.
Yeah, all they did was opened up the file, probably had it converted over to whatever modern day publishing is, and then just said print.
I just hope it doesn't have the same traits as the other one, because one of the reasons I don't have my original is literally every page fell out.
I think binding technology has come a little bit further along.
I remember this book because I had played it so much, I actually had to basically take what was left of my copy to a Kinko's and have it spiral bound.
Yeah,
because it was just so bad. But this book is why I actually there's the Battle of the Farm, which is the scenario they give you in this book. But I'm just going to show everybody this. Let me find it here. I found it last night, but I'm still dealing with this cold, so I've been trying to. I didn't get any sleep last night.
I'm going to interrupt you real fast. Victor, have a great time at Strategicon. Take lots of cool photos. Have fun with everybody.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see the Doctor Who stars and panels. That'd be neat.
That would be cool.
What
does Huron say?
Did you totally have to re-sign up with everything when they switched to the new system? So did you have to re-sign up to all your...
No, all of that stayed the same. The only thing that happened, there was a window that if you placed an order in that certain window, it wouldn't appear in your order history. But they were guaranteeing me that it was still there. They would ship it when it arrived. And they gave me the answer. They were actually really helpful to the best of their ability. I just I thought, well, I'm going to wait and see what happens. And sure enough, I didn't get a notice from them that it shipped. It just showed up.
Kind of makes me wonder, like when they did the switch over, if they kept part of the network functioning on the old system so they could finish out the orders, and they just put everybody on the new system.
Yeah.
And can't miss. Victor, you're so kind.
That warms my heart.
I'm glad to know we are part of your Saturday morning ritual. So it makes me wonder if they were just operating everything on the old system and you just didn't have access to it no more, and they just put everybody on the new system.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But when I first started playing this game, I started playing Crimson Fists.
Yeah.
Because Crimson Fists were the army that they suggest you paint up in the battle report. I'm trying to find it, but it's just lost in here somewhere because the artwork in this book is so bad.
Oh, it's so awesome.
But
it's so 80s.
Anyway, there was a description of the Fang in here,
right?
Which is the Space Wolf stronghold, which is why I play Space Wolf. I have not played any other army since, other than squads.
Now, did you they have the Realms of Chaos as a reprint as well?
I have my original of the Realms of Chaos.
Okay.
Because I've never been a Chaos player, so I wasn't in that book that often, but this book I was in all the time.
Yeah, but Realms of Chaos is just such a cool book because you could literally create your own demons.
Well, there was two. There was the Realms of Chaos Lost in the Damned.
Yep.
And the Realms of Chaos Slaves to Darkness.
And Slaves of Darkness is the only one they've reprinted. They have not done Lost in the Damned yet. They haven't reprinted it.
Yeah, I still have both my originals on that one.
Yeah, and that is Slaves of Darkness is just a really cool, like you can just create really cool demon stuff. This was back when 40K was still kind of on the fence between an RPG and a table. Like they were trying to find themselves as a game. Even that Rogue Trader is kind of more of an RPG.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can actually pay points to upgrade your stats.
Right.
And I mean, there's so much RPG stuff in this. But yeah, this. So I'm kind of happy that I got this back in.
What do you think came out first? Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay or the miniatures game? Because they have a role-playing game that came out way back in the day.
No, Warhammer Fantasy Battles was out before Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay.
Okay. So
I'm fairly confident that's the case.
Because I was just kind of wondering if they picked up some of the traits from their role-playing game, or maybe they were still influenced by role-playing games when they were making the original game.
No, they were actually more influenced. They from everything I was told at GW, one of their motivating factors was they wanted to play Lord of the Rings in space.
Oh.
And that's one of the reasons why you have the Eldar and that kind of thing.
The elves and the dwarfs and the orcs and the this and the that.
Rick Priestley, they were big miniature gaming in the UK and in Europe is much more prevalent than it is here.
Right.
And they wanted to do some stuff, but I think there was a lot of role-playing influence in 40K.
Right.
But later it just made the shift to just a full-on tabletop game.
Well, and it's kind of interesting because if you look at the history of Dungeons and Dragons, it started as a miniatures game.
Chainmail.
Yeah. And it just kind of morphed into this theater of mind, but it was technically just miniature gaming. They just wanted you to be able to have a single character that you could go around it instead of playing this massive army.
My first game of D&D, the dwarf and the elf were not races; they were character classes.
Yep.
So you could just say, "Hey, I want to be an elf," and then that was your character class. That later became they just had the different races. But that was the original first. Before I was playing before the red box set.
You were playing the white box set or the white books.
I never owned those. I just asked. That was the first time I was exposed to it.
Yeah, try buying those nowadays.
Oh yeah. Well, the other game I played a lot back then because it was actually I've always heard people debate this. I don't know, but there was also a sci-fi game called Traveler.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I've heard people say Traveler actually was the first role-playing game. I don't know, but I played a lot of Traveler back then too.
If Traveler was the first role-playing game, it just wasn't popular. It became popular really quick.
I am not making this is not a hill I'm willing to die on. I have just heard people debate that. I do not know. All I know is I played both.
I can say for sure Traveler's been around since the 70s.
Yeah.
So
now I still have somewhere. I still have my original Traveler set.
The little zine style books.
Yeah.
You got like the box set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, hold on to that.
I think it's in my. I think when I moved back out to Arizona, I think my daughter put it in her. It's in her basement. I have to go finish unloading that.
Travelers is still about, if I recall right.
Yeah, Traveler is absolutely still about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was 50 some years ago. 40 some years ago.
We're old.
I am very old. So.
I just remember Traveler because that was my first exposure to zines, like zine style books. Like most of the paperback books I was exposed to, but you don't think of it. But for gaming content, like Traveler was the first one that I was exposed to. It's like, oh, these books are different. This is cool. Like,
Yeah.
but then when you open it, it's like there's a lot of math.
Yeah.
And Traveler introduced the whole life path concept, which is just, in my opinion, one of the better things about role playing games.
Yeah, I kind of like that because it gave you a way to start
Yes.
and kind of come up with how the character was going to be and blah blah blah. So,
Well, because we never considered backstory back then. Backstory wasn't a word we used. So you had that life path from D&D, and then like
Right.
or from Traveler, but in D&D, people just like built a character and we went to a dungeon and we killed stuff or died.
yeah. It depended on the player because a lot of players would write their own backstory, but it didn't happen very often. Traveler kind of made it part of the character creation.
Yeah, and yes, Traveler's the one game where your character dies at creation. It's awesome. I think I have a few of those. Yeah, those Travelers minis back then.
Yeah, it was back then. Back in the day.
Back in
Tuesday.
Good old days. So, and I think role playing games. Just on a different subject, I watched Ash recently did an interview with a shop owner on his Gorilla miniature.
Yep, I saw that. I haven't watched the video yet. It's in my watch later file.
So it was just an interesting conversation, and one part of the conversation really resonated with me, and that is because what they were talking about in broad brushstrokes is, does GW have a monopoly on the market?
Right.
And obviously, the answer is no, they don't. There's other companies. They just have a lot of product, and they're very desirable products.
Yep.
Therefore, shops kind of mostly, it's like Magic, and if you're selling cards, you sell Magic cards because that's what people buy, and if you're into miniatures, you sell GW because that's what people buy.
Right.
And that does cause a problem for shop owners to decide, what do I want to do? Make money or carry obscure miniature games that nobody's going to buy? So, but part of that conversation, one of the things that Ash brought up was how when a new game hits the market, people go, yeah, it's just like 40K, or it's just like GW games, and it's just like we constantly compare newer miniature games because there's a familiarity to those games. And if you're trying to entice somebody to try a new game, it's easier to say, well, it's kind of like GW games, but we do this thing different, or we do that thing different. RPGs have that same problem with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, well, it's just like D&D, but we do this
Well,
thing.
that's not just from the players. I remember this was back in the early 90s. I went to a convention in LA for Waterloo Games.
Mm-hmm.
And there was, I forget the game, but there was a new miniature game that they were running demos for. And I thought, okay, let's go check it out. And the entire time, the rep from this company was running this demo. Everything he described would end with, like in 40K, but a little different.
Right.
Like in 40K, but a little different.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's literally just how they're trying to grasp some portion of that market. And yeah, players do it all the time, but so do the people that are making the new games.
Because it's the familiarity. You got to, in the two realms, RPGs and miniature games, you have two behemoths, Dungeons and Dragons, regardless of what's going on with Hasbro and all their drama. There's still a behemoth of a game, and you have GW with all their drama as a corporation and everything. But that's what we're familiar with. So that's why people use it as kind of like a marketing tool. They're kind of marketing based on those popularities, saying, look, we're just like that game, but we're just a little bit different. And a reason that really resonated with me is the new trend in RPGs is taking 5th edition, taking the open game license, writing a game based on with the 5th edition rules, but I'm adding my little house rules to it. And we're like, look at my great new game. It's like, well, it's 5th edition, but I've added some other rules to it. It's like, well, why wouldn't I just play 5th edition?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're saying your game is just like 40K, then why wouldn't I just go play 40K?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's like it's almost like a negative marketing thing anymore. It's like if you're really just telling me your game's just like this other game, then why won't I just go play this? Why don't you come up with something new?
Well, that's the thing. There's only I forget the whole thing, but there's only like 7 original ideas.
Yes.
Everything. No, seriously. I think it was the Greek. They said there are 7 original ideas. Everything else is based off those 7 original ideas.
Right.
And when you have a game, and I said this a while back in a conversation I was having with Darren. If you look at the 3 big ones, you've got D&D, which is the role playing.
Right.
Magic the Gathering is collectible cards.
Yep.
And Games Workshop is the miniatures.
Yep.
The only thing that is going to topple those 3 are themselves. That I don't think anyone's going to be able to come up with that. The closest game that even made a dent, and I wouldn't even call it a dent. I'd call it they scratched the paint of the Games Workshop, Land Raider tank, was War Machine.
Yeah.
And that because then once they actually got their foot on the ground, they didn't really change, which is why when 8th edition, then they also played off the tired of 40K, play our game, play like you got a pair, blah, 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 blah.
They went that hardcore route.
But they never really adjusted that. So when GW said, hey, wait a minute, something's going on, and they shifted, and 8th edition came out, and you and I were playing at the store at that point in time and literally saw the change in what was going on in the shop. The minute 8th edition hit the market, everybody went right back to 40K.
Yeah. And War Machine just kind of tanked locally. I don't even know any, like, I'm sure there's still some shops that carry it locally, but I don't see them.
Yeah.
I've been like Luke's doesn't carry any of that stuff. And
so the only companies that are going to topple those 3 big ones are if they mess it up so badly they can't recover.
And they did talk about Infinity, and they used Infinity. They're saying if you were going to start a miniatures game, model yourself after Infinity, because Corvus Belli, the way Corvus Belli has been doing it, is it's been through consistency of when they release new stuff. They're not trying to compete with the big giants. They're like, this is our product. This is our model. We came up with unique and rules that don't match anything that 40K does. And we've got our own little world, and they've been building slowly on that. But the one thing Ash said about them, and so did the shop owner, is they said they're consistent. They put new releases out on a regular schedule. They've got their production under control. They're moving forward. They're innovating using new materials. And they're basically saying, if you're going to start a new miniatures company, don't compare yourself to GW and don't try to be like GW.
Well, as you said at the beginning of this conversation, do something different. Well, Infinity did. That game, you can't, I mean, other than saying they're both tabletop miniature war games, there's no comparison.
And you roll dice.
You roll dice. And I got to tell you, I've played Infinity, and I do as much in your turn as I do in mine. And it's exhausting, but it's a fun game. The models are gorgeous. They're true scale 25s. They're just fantastic. And the game, I love the game. I love the background, because that's the big one for me. That if it's got a great fluff or a great background to it, that's the first hook for me.
Yeah.
And then nice miniatures after that. But yeah, they did exactly that. They don't pay attention to what GW does. They worry about themselves. They've created a game and a genre, and they just it's a good game. It's a strong game.
And I've been around Infinity since it came out, and it's gone through some problems. Its miniatures weren't always the greatest when it first came out. I've got some of the original miniatures, and they're a little rough around the edges, but they've learned from it and they've grown, and they've never tried to compete against GW. They're like, no, we're just doing our own thing, slow and steady. So it's a neat interview. Ash does some cool stuff. So if you guys have some time, check it out. It's just a good insight to some of the reasons why we see a lot of GW products at shops. It's because it sells, and shop owners, believe it or not, like to be in business. That's a weird thing. I don't know.
I mean, the thing about it is, you have to commit to one or the other. A lot of stores commit to two. If you're going to be a Magic store, be a Magic store. If you're going to be a miniature store, you be a miniature store. And you got to commit. You as a retailer, you got to commit to it and just got to accept the fact. And I'm telling you, GW on the trade front, they literally try to just destroy themselves with trade accounts.
Yeah.
Because I talk to Darren every week, and there's always some kind of issue or problem or something GW has done with their order that just drives him up a wall. It just makes his job 40,000 times harder than it needs to be. But yeah, it definitely moves. And 10th edition is, quite frankly, and I've played most of my biggest gap in my playing was probably 7, 8, and 9. I played pretty consistently through 5th. I played 6 a bit.
We did pretty good in 8th. You and I,
we got a few games at 8th then.
Yeah, well, that's when we started the 40K OG.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did more running of 40K than playing 40K. Yeah. So like I ended up playing 8th edition. I loved 8th edition.
Right.
Until the end. Like 8th edition came out strong for me because it was like, oh my gosh, this is what 40K should be. I'm having fun at the table. I'm not getting bogged down with complicated rules and having to keep up because it was all new. It was all fresh. Yep. Yep. And then as the cycle of 8th edition went on,
it got more,
it got a little less fun.
Right.
Because they started putting out updates and changes and this, that, and the other thing. And when the Orc Codex came out and they immediately changed how it works, I'm like, so we were getting, it was when we were getting, we were being introduced to the new GW of instant change, which was shocking for most of us. GW wasn't a company that liked to change. Like the example I always share with people, and I've shared it with you, is when they updated the rules for the Lord of the Rings. They put the new books out for the Lord of the Rings. They said Rohan cannot shoot bows on horseback. Now, I'm not a Lord of the Rings professor, but last time I knew, Rohan were horse riding, bow shooting fanatics. Like that was their thing. And you just said that, and they wouldn't change the rule. Like everyone's like, this rule's stupid. And they're like, yeah, we're not changing it.
Well, the nice thing about 10th, and I'm actually starting to get used to it, is they have their, every quarter, they put out their new data slate, which is a balancing effect, which initially it was like between literally the complication of playing 9th edition, because that's when I got really bogged down in the minutia, because I had to go online and people were making these checklists of what to do in the game.
Yeah.
And in literally the one for just to play Space Wolves was almost 2 pages long. The new rules that they've gotten away from that. 10th edition, but I like the fact, because I know I would have killed to have the feedback and the errata produced from GW that we have now. So, but 10th edition is a lot more streamlined.
Yep.
It's very easy to make an army list. It took me a little bit when I started writing the army list for the Build Paint Play, because I'm used to point fishing, where you're making weapons changes and doing all this other stuff. There's kind of the combined points and power level.
Yep.
Which I think is a good thing. And I'm liking 10th, but they've streamlined it quite a bit. I just have not had the opportunity to get a game in. And I'm afraid my first game of 10th edition is going to be at Adepticon.
Oh, that's gonna hurt.
It's going to be embarrassing. So,
well, don't worry. Your dice are just going to roll ones anyways.
Aaron says, generally speaking, it takes a massive catastrophic foul up to make huge companies howl in pain. They do. They have to, and GW is absolutely in that category. They got to mess up huge.
Yeah,
to create a problem for themselves.
What we see as huge mess ups, they're like, yeah, we're $1 billion a year company. That's not a huge mess up. Like for them, it would have to be like a warehouse collapses, and like they would need something huge to make them screw.
They're so dialed in. I mean, they're getting better.
Yeah.
They're so dialed in to just like their data slates.
Well,
keeping the rules as balanced as they can.
I think the updates became important because during 8th edition, it was like weekly, like things were changing rapidly and nobody could keep up. And it was one of the bigger complaints towards the end that they were just making so many changes. That's when they started coming up with this new idea of, well, let's just do it like twice a year and put up an update, and then everything's just updated. So that way people can kind of keep up with everything.
Now they do an update every quarter. But like the other thing, there were so many stratagems in 9th edition.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't. Now there's 6. Each army has their 6, and then there's a core group that every army can do.
Right.
So I'm just kind of liking where it went, where they've taken it now. Whether it stays that way, because one of the problems with any game, here's the problem with any game: the company will hire new designers.
Mm-hmm.
Those new game designers will start off at being the minions of the current designers. Current designers will move on to other things. Minions of those designers will become the main designers, and then they have this sudden urge to change everything to make it theirs.
Yeah, they want to put their name on it, that legacy.
Yep.
I designed that rule.
Yeah, that I mean, that's what happens, and things change. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I do think 10th edition is a good balance between how the simplicity of 8th edition and the complexity of 9th edition, and they kind of found a nice little. Well, we want to have these certain things, but we got a little carried away, so we're going to kind of massage it a little bit.
Well, the other thing that made it really easy for me, I'm a big Warhammer TV guy. I like watching some of their feeds. But the app, if you pay the fee, you get the app, the Army Builder, which quite frankly is phenomenal, because that gives you access to all the core rules. You can basically, if you buy a codex, you can punch that code in and you have access to all those rules. But it also auto updates every time they do a new data slate. It updates that software. So like when they did the most recent data slate, I went back into the army that I built for the Build, Paint, Play thing, and it literally updated it and adjusted all my points.
Does it tell you what's been updated so that you're not okay? I was just like, is it like a typical update? I just
basically opened up how it worked is I opened up my army list, and it said, here are the things that have changed. So just going to give me that, and I literally dropped 5 points because my cost had changed on certain things.
So then you have a ability to buy some more stuff.
Yeah, the app doesn't give you a point by point. Here's what we changed.
No,
that's what the data. You can go to the data slate and get that printout. That'll tell you.
Yeah.
But in the app was automatically updated with all the rules are up and all the points changes and everything else.
And Aaron,
what did Aaron say?
He's just mentioned that was one of the big gripes at the beginning was just too many changes, too rapid changes, and it was making it very hard for anyone. And then there is a little bit. I don't want to say it's a cash grab, but there were some releases that felt like it. There were some things they did that felt like, oh, you're just taking more money out of my wallet.
Yeah, well, that's also a company's thing.
Yeah, they got to pay to keep the lights on too. And if I'm going to drive a Ferrari, and GW is the Ferrari in the miniature world, if I'm going to drive a Ferrari, I have to expect to pay more to have it fixed.
I sometimes just kind of go, you've heard me say this, Mike. Why are you spending my money?
Oh, I do. I spend your money so well.
But here's the thing. You're not actually spending my money. You're just pointing out things I like. I'm the moron that goes, okay, I'll take that.
And sometimes it's so easy with you.
It is. I even blame Dave Taylor. One day I told Dave, I said, Dave, stop spending my money. And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, that lovely light you have that I saw from Game Envy over in Hancock, Maryland. And he goes, yeah. I said, yeah, I bought one. As a matter of fact, I bought 3. And he's like, why did you need 3? And I said, well, I wanted one for myself, and I bought 2 for Christmas presents. And I go, and so stop spending my money. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that said, hey, that's really cool. I think I want one of those.
Well, hey, you showed me your new camera mount, and mine shows up today. So you spend my money just as easily as I spend yours.
But at the end of the day, we're the ones making the choices. It's like it's like people saying, "Oh, the scalpers are online; they're overcharging for that." Did you buy one? Well, yes, I had to. Well, no, you didn't.
Yes, again, it's just part. They're just a company, just like anybody else, and you get to make the decisions. Like I believe today is the day all the new Legion Imperialis stuff goes up for pre-order. There's a new book and a bunch of models.
Yeah.
I don't need to buy any of that stuff. I'm going to buy all of that stuff. So it's a little bit is more on us. But yes.
Yeah. And the problem is people like us work for that company, so they actually know all of our weaknesses.
Yes. I think that's part of their long-term financial planning as a company is to hire a bunch of people in the gaming industry and then let them go out there, getting them addicted by working there, and then send them so they can just stay addicted. Like they're just
the other thing with that is guys that love a hobby will go to work for the company at a lower rate than what the industry might say is the base rate.
Yes, just because they know people love the hobby.
Yeah.
One of the things we used to do is when I worked at shelters, foster parents made great adopters. People would foster a dog for us, like, all right, and then they'd end up adopting it, and it was like a little mini adoption program into its like all by itself. It's like, there you go.
I have been fighting an urge on that front because I love, don't get me wrong, my cat, I bitch about him a lot, but I like my cat. My cat's good. He's a good cat.
He's a great cat.
But I want a dog.
But you're gonna have to get a little dog.
Huh?
You're gonna have to get a little dog.
No, I want a big dog.
You're in an apartment.
I like shepherds.
But you're in an apartment.
I understand that.
Well, maybe the big dog will force you to have to go out and do things.
That's one of the reasons.
It's going to force you to go out and do things. Like you don't. It's no longer like it's raining outside. I don't want to take a walk. You're taking a walk. It's snowing and it's 6 feet of snow. You're taking a walk.
Taking a walk.
I
haven't acted on that urge yet. Right now, I think it's just an urge, and I think it'll pass.
Oh, kind of like gas.
Yeah, I think it'll pass. I'm hoping it passes. And I'm not going to do anything. Well, Jax is having some health issues. I got to get him back to the vet. But if something would ever happen to Jack, God forbid, I'll probably end up getting a dog.
Yeah. Well, let's jump in. It's getting kind of late.
You want to get some pictures first?
Yeah, let's do some pictures. And
this is basically the Joe Show.
Oh, it's the Joe Show. So,
and I've got a couple pics, but it's mostly Joe.
Joe's got some pictures up.
Joe did a lot of stuff.
Boom. So what are we looking at for a game?
They were all under board games, so I'm assuming they're for some board game.
Joe, what board game are we painting for today?
All he said in the comments was Space Core Crew.
Well, Space Core is a game.
Well, these are for Space Core.
Yeah. All right, cool.
That's my understanding.
Cool. Bright colors. You're making them
bright. Joe, you really need to start finishing these bases before you put the pictures up because these white bases distract the heck out of me and actually diminish the quality of up here. I get distracted by the plain white bases.
Core space. Core space. All right. So we got
if I do this and block out the bases, awesome. They look really good. Really good. Really
give him a quick hit of just hit him black and just be done.
Yeah, just hit him with black or something.
Oh. Very cool though, Joe.
Yes, very cool.
And because he's priming white, all those colors are just exploding because
absolutely.
That's why we prime white.
Really good color choices too.
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy's doing.
I don't know what's behind. It looks like he's got a gun to his side. He's like, whoa, bro.
I was going to say, it looks like he's ready to start the Macarena.
Maybe it's icy where they are. Okay, we can go with that. It's an ice planet.
Could be.
Yeah, he does. He has a unique pose, but it works.
Yeah. They all look good.
I've heard people talking about core space, so.
Yeah, I've not heard. This is the first I've heard of it. So.
Some droids. These are the droids you are looking for.
Yeah. I like that design too.
He changed up the background too. Yeah.
I think Joe is the official winner of the background wars.
Well, it used to go between Joe and Lenny.
Yeah.
Back in the day, but I don't think Lenny's in anymore.
And Lenny moved on. He doesn't have time for us anymore.
I know. More droids.
Oh, great. I love those designs.
Yeah, very classic.
They're like very smooth and sleek. Very cool.
Aliens.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Man, Joe, you really cranked out a lot of stuff this week.
Yeah.
Very
I like that hairdo.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Three finger man. Sorry, I'm having to look over. I got my camera now mounted right in front of my monitor, so I'm having to kind of look over my.
That was me for the longest time. If you remember.
Yeah, I know. But I do like my new angle.
Yeah, it's nice.
Like, it works.
I got where my camera's at. It kind of helps for me being distracted.
Oh, hey,
I actually he had done these, and I actually missed them the last time we showed pics. I didn't grab these.
4 more in the paint batch.
Yeah.
Bench. Well, I'll get the words right. Who is that?
This is a Marvel character called the Blob.
Oh, okay. Looks like a wrestler.
Well, that ironically, that's what he did in a circus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this guy's power is he really, once he plants his feet, he can't be moved.
Well, it looks like, I'm assuming these are Marvel Crisis Protocol models.
Yep.
So they're really dipping into that world.
Well, this is one of the original bad guys for the X-Men, I believe.
Ah.
This guy's pretty cool.
I'm assuming this is some kind of fire dude.
This is Pyro.
Pyro
controls fire, but he can't create it. So see those little hoses coming to the end of his arms?
That's giving him the
that
flame.
Gives him the fire that he can control.
Very cool. That's actually kind of a cool character concept.
Yes. Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. And then this is my dragon.
Love this dragon. Just it reminds me of the dragon. So Age of Sigmar, I play orcs.
Right.
And we got what's called the Cabbage Dragon, which is it's a Wyvern, but he just looks like a big ball of cabbage just by the way they designed him.
Right.
He reminds me of it, but he actually looks like a cool dragon, where mine just looks like a big ball of cabbage. So it's just a really big framed dragon. I like this one because it's sleek and he's got the legs going down in the front like that. It just looks really cool.
I was actually really happy with how he came out.
And this was a 3D print, huh?
Yeah, this is a Kickstarter from about a year and a half ago. I can't remember the name of it now. It was actually the most brittle resin I've ever worked with. If I ever dropped this model, it would probably shatter like porcelain.
And who did you paint this for? Someone as a display piece?
This is a commission for a Kings of War army for one of my commission customers.
Man, I hope he doesn't there's just so many little bits that could break off that model so quickly.
Yeah, I had to be really careful with it. But yeah, he magnetizes everything, puts it in a metal tray. The rider, there's a helmetless rider, and then there's one with the helmet. I've magnetized them to put on the back. So,
did you say you're printing it again for some weapon options or something?
I'm basically going to order the because you buy the STLs or you have someone print them up for you. So I may just buy the whole set because I actually like the dragon and I like a couple other pieces to it.
It's a neat model. Just a super neat model.
So they call it a wyvern, but it looks like a dragon to me.
Yeah, well, wyvern, it's a dragon.
Yeah. So
love it.
And that hammer, woo!
Thor hammer.
It's awesome. And I believe that is it.
Very cool.
So you ready to at least do a little bit of painting today?
Yeah, I'm going to start. So yesterday you started working on bases.
Mm-hmm.
And you showed the stippling technique. Today I'm working on bases, but I'm going to use the sponge technique because sponges are funges. What are you shaking your head at me? You don't like my pun? I'm going to switch cameras so I don't have to see you shaking your head at me. Now I got to look.
Go right ahead.
I got to look around my camera so I can see where I'm at.
Boop.
Hey. work. There we go.
First thing I got to do is set up my wet palette.
And I use these. Now, this is something also going on with StreamYard.
You want to take the full screen?
No, it's just sponging.
Well, all I'm doing is setting up my wet palette.
That's all right.
You're getting solo layout.
Come on. Sponges are fun. They're fun. Nobody likes my pun. I'm being criticized for my pun. Anyways, I use these very coarse sponges. I get them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's or any of the painting craft supply stores. Now we have a Blix in Arizona, of 75th Avenue in Bellish area. It's over there by the Wildflower Bread Company.
What the hell is a Blix?
More. So
it sounds like a Marvel villain.
Blix?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know where they're originally from.
Mr. Mitzelblix.
But it's just a cool little craft store.
You're on SpongeBob now with a tragic end.
Yes, I just ripped SpongeBob's heart out. Anyways, I'm just gonna stipple this all up with some dark grays, and then I'm gonna come in with a light gray, and I'm just gonna do 2 shades of gray. I'm not gonna get too carried away with my grays.
There's an old Monkey song called Shades of Gray.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Hey, we're the Monkeys.
Hey, I love that show. I love that group.
But this is going to be so I've got some work done on the war. Hey, my camera looks really good to me. How's this coming across on your?
Really nice.
All right. So I got all the detail work done on my Warhound Titan, and I washed it all yesterday. So now I got to come in and do some dry brushing, some edge highlighting, kind of make some stuff pop. I still need to build the head and the weapons for this model, but those are pretty much going to be painted different colors anyway, so I'm not worried about them not being done. I just want to get the main body done, but I want to get them glued to the base. So I'll get his base done first. And I'm still on the fence, man. I don't know if I want to keep the top half separate or if I want to glue it all together as one. I'm not a big fan of having my tank turrets rotate and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I can just move my tank sideways if I have to.
My experience has been, if you leave a model in your miniature war games army with stuff that can be moved,
it just
everyone that grabs the model will move it, and eventually it will get broken.
Yeah, that's kind of my take on that.
And it ends up being a repair.
And Joe's like, glue it. I'm right there with you, Joe.
Joe is correct.
I think I'm going to leave it disconnected for right now so I can do some work with it. But I think as time, I need to put my glasses on. Jeez.
Old man.
But I think gluing it is the way to go. And the reason I like doing the sponge work on these bases is because this is like broken up concrete.
Right.
And this gives me like that concrete kind of a look.
Yeah.
With like the black still showing through and the different shades of gray. Like you were talking about yesterday, how rocks have different shades of color.
Rocks have variety.
So does concrete.
Not really.
Not really?
I'm just being a snot.
I know. That was me ignoring you.
You weren't ignoring me. You actually were like, what?
What? What'd you say?
You hang on my every word.
I
know that's not true.
I was like, I don't know if I hang on your every word.
Just you wait. What does Jeff think?
Sometimes I just like with you texting, I sometimes have to interpret what you're texting.
Why?
Like last night you texted me and you're like, I'm not going to make it. I'm like, what the hell is he talking about? Like,
because you had sent me a text.
I know, but that was like hours ago. I was like,
you're one of those people that once you read a text, you don't look up at the text you sent previously for context.
No, why would I?
Because you're a person that has a brain and should be able to think.
I was just trying to figure out what you were talking about. I was like, what?
I was responding late to your text.
See, that's the thing. It was a delayed response.
It was an intentional response because I thought it would be funny because we had just literally stopped our stream.
Yeah. So that's the dark gray, and as you can see, it's giving me kind of like, what do we like to call that? Modulation in the color.
It's called modeling.
Modeling. So
like when someone has red splotches on their face, you have to. It's called modeling.
So that's basically what I'm doing with the.
I don't care how you do it, Joe. That just to keep from being a distraction, the bases have to be finished in some way because it takes away from the paint job of the actual model.
We're not. It's a distraction.
Yeah, it literally. Now, now here's the thing: if it doesn't bother you, then don't worry about it. I was just telling you from my aspect because I've always been a. The base is more than just a stand the model sits on. It also is part of the model. And when the base isn't finished, my brain, it distracts it from the overall model. If that makes sense. However, you want to finish it.
Telling you the model's not finished.
Yeah, for me anyway.
Yes.
But I realize that you're just doing game pieces. You're not doing award-winning showpieces. You're just cranking out some game pieces to play. Those tabletop quality. So if you don't want to finish them, then that's up to you. I mean, you be you, buddy. But for me, when I look at the model and the base is still primed, and I see brush strokes and over painting on some of it, it takes away from the overall model. So if that makes any sense. And again, not belittling your work because your work is looking good. But when I look at them without the bases being done, I am personally distracted.
Well, and the other part is you're also keeping in mind we're looking at it through photos.
Yep.
And computers and everything pick up that color a lot more.
Yep.
I feel like I'm putting on makeup. Just dabbing makeup.
Just a dab will do you.
Just a dab. I figure I might as well just start doing everything with colors that I'm doing.
How the hell this happened? I'm about ready to jump in on the stream here if you're okay with that.
I don't care, dude. Go for it. Joe's mentioned there's a colored ring that covers the edges, which is fine. I get it.
You do you, buddy. If you're happy with them, that's all that matters.
I had more bases to do.
I was just offering my thoughts.
What do you got? What do you got? Oh, it's a Termi.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get the last 3 of my Termis done and the last 3 of my Inceptors, or my only 3 Inceptors done over the weekend.
You only didn't have 3 Inceptors in your army, or is it just
they come in 3-man squads, and I didn't buy the second one.
All right.
I'm only doing 3.
Got it.
I understand what you're saying. There's a ring that goes around the base. I get that, but the white base has like overpaint on it and other stuff. You do you, but whatever you're happy with. I have no idea what he just said. Oh, he more so. 2 separate words. Got it.
So this is just my base sponge job, and then what I'm just going to do 2 color contrast on this. So, well, it'll be 3 color because I got the black. So the black primer. Then I'm doing I'm actually using a warm. Whoops, that's a dark silver. I'm using Pro Acryl, dark warm gray. So I don't necessarily understand how you can have a dark warm gray, but that's what the thing says. So it has like a little tint of brownish in it, probably. Just my old eyes don't see it. And the reason that's why I'm doing it this way is when you see, oops, you can't really see it. Let me zoom. Holding stuff up to the camera never really works well. Like they're going to really stand out on my bases. And that's why I'm doing it this way. Because I want the miniatures to pop out. If I did these in a brown color, then my miniatures would just get lost, and they're small enough as it is. I don't need to do any more to that. And then Pro Acryl has a lighter version of a warm gray. So hey, Greg's here.
Hey, Greg.
With the brownish yellow, I agree. The warm gray is a good choice. Well, thank you. And then I'm going to use the light warm gray to just kind of add some more texture to the color, make it look more concrete-ish.
Cool.
Concrete-ish. I don't know. Like, technically, I'm looking at these bases.
Right.
And they this kind of looks like it could just be metal plates because there looks like there's something like they're bolted down. Obviously, concrete could be bolted down as well. I don't know what these little things are, but then it's all cracked up. So it's like, is it metal? Is it concrete? What is it?
Well, they may be fabricated pieces where they actually did bring them in, just lay them down and bolt them in place.
That's the story we're going with. And those could also just be like tie downs, like maybe they'll hold something like maybe they don't want their tanks to blow away, so they tie them down at night. So
that's not what they're for.
No, I never know. Tanks could wander away.
Yeah, sure they could.
You're not buying my story, are you? I haven't used this warm gray. I think this is one of the newer colors. Yeah, this is one of the newer colors. I can tell my newer colors from Pro Acryl because I don't have paint all over the place. This is one of the newer colors, and their bottles, they changed their bottles.
Again?
Well, no, I've noticed this another set ago. One of the signature series, their bottles are a lot firmer.
Right.
Like they got a better quality bottle. Metal Creek. Yes, maybe it is a little metalish.
Oh, no. You can literally have a prefabricated concrete sidewalk. I've seen them. I mean, they have them today. Yeah. They basically have a slab they brought down, and on many occasions they are bolted to whatever's underneath them.
Could be.
And that's what because they look like that. They got the little bolt holes in the corner.
Yeah, they got some weirdness going on, but I love it, and nobody's really going to care. But yeah, no, I did all. Did you ever see that? Because this sponging effect actually works really good for creating like vegetation on a 2-dimensional surface.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've ever saw my Thunder Alley board.
I never have.
I built if you're not familiar with Thunder Alley, it's a it's a NASCAR board game by GMT.
I've played Thunder Alley.
Okay. So
you've never played on your board.
And I did the infield with sponge. It's like one of the first times I used sponging effects to create like a vegetation look.
Right.
And I just used different shades of green, layering. I started with some browns, layered in some darker greens, some mid greens, and some highlight greens to make it look like bushes in the field. And it actually turned out really good.
Sweet.
So it's a cool. I like sponging techniques, but I used it to create kind of a feel, and it looks good. I should pull that game out.
It's a good game.
Well, I made it for for Hot Wheels.
Why didn't that surprise me?
I don't know. I went through a phase where I wanted to create what I called convention games to play at the store.
Right.
And we played the Thunder Alley at the store a couple times. Where you take take a game and make it bigger or make it like different.
Huron Pro Acryl paints are actually, I think, a little cheaper than your mainline paints.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Bethany's here.
Hey, Bethany.
We talked about Goblin Green earlier. No, I'm not.
You are completely correct, Bethany. I actually think that's where Lenny's at. He's actually traveling the country to find the long lost bottles of Goblin Green he didn't get.
Yes. Good morning, Bethany. Yeah, I should do it again. I should pull that out. I'm gonna have to get refamiliar with the rules. I did a lot of work on that. Heron, one of the things that you're gonna find with Pro Acryl is if you pull up a GW. Hey, morning, Tim. This is GW's contrast paint, and it is 18 milliliters. And this is the mid-size bottle of contrast paint from GW, which is 18 mil. And if you get the big wash pots, how many mils are the wash pots? They're 24 mil, and Pro Acryl is 22 mil. So it's got a cost to it, obviously. But I don't think it's more expensive. I actually think it's priced quite well for the amount of paint that you get. Plus, it also has a shaker ball inside of it and all that kind of cool stuff. The only thing I do differently, though, and I don't have Pro Acryl comes naturally with like a Elmer's glue spin top thing to it, and I don't like those. Those drive me up the wall. So I changed mine out. He actually sells, Jason actually sells different dropper tops that you can buy, but he sells them relatively inexpensively. So I changed mine over, but it's good paint. It dries nice and matte. And I've been slowly picking up everything he puts out.
So in other words, going back to what I said, yes, Heron, they are a little more cheaper than your standard mainline paints.
Hey, Lenny just joined. I have 3. Oh, the Goblin Green monster has arrived. Yes, we should play again. Great. Yes, it was. Thunder Alley was awesome. I still got to get you that armor wash, Jeff. So Greg's talking about getting you the armor wash. I'm just trying to catch up on anything. It's not a good set event.
Greg has a hoard of armor from the old Citadel armor wash.
Yes, Joe. If I just knew someone that could set up events at a store, I'll have to think about that. I'll have to think about breaking that out. Terminator would look awesome with a Goblin Green base. Yes. Yeah, here. No. There's a lot of paint options nowadays, so you just got to find what works for you. I just, because now we've got Too Thin Coats and AK Interactive. Is it AK Interactive? Has their own version of acrylic paints now that are really good. Army Painter just redid their paints. Jeff's going to be. When do you get yours?
They're coming out in March.
Coming out in March. So expect a review from us. Oh, Jeff, on those.
I blew my entire year's paint budget.
I'm just buying those. Yep. See, Bethany and Lenny both agree. Goblin Green for the base.
Well, that's why that's why the rest of us can't use Goblin Green, as Lenny used it all.
Yeah, I know. You can't find it anymore. Lenny has used all of the Goblin Green up.
Looking at my camera, I've got to move my camera to the opposite side.
You going to the left?
Yeah, I'm going to put it over my left shoulder because it really just kind of blocks what I'm doing in the camera.
See, in here, Bethany's commenting, scale 75. That's another great paint. And
absolutely great paint.
So is Too Thin Coats. So, yeah. I guess that's one of the things, like, because back in the day, if we go back to, at what point, it was pretty much GW was the only miniatures paints for the most part, like you would see at stores. I think I'm trying to recall, would there, because P3 wasn't out yet.
There was back when I started, there were two types of paint. You go to the hobby shop and buy testers, the little testers bottles, enamels, or you buy craft paint.
Yeah.
Whatever brand the craft store carried. And then Ralph Partha put out a set of paints that were horrible.
And then you had the scale model or the railroad paints. What company was that?
Floquil.
Floquil. There you go.
Floquil, and then then I found the one that changed me was Poly S.
There, Poly S.
I found Poly S paints at a railroad shop and was like, oh my God, these are fantastic. So, but testers have really kind of gotten out of their massive hobby line as far as paints go. Like, they've discontinued the Model Master range.
Mm-hmm.
They've done a lot of changing.
And just like our industry, yep, that's what my friends and I used back in the day. The old testers.
Yep.
Pactra.
Yeah, I do remember Pactra paints, Tim. Absolutely.
Good old.
I was doing a lot of historical painting back in the day. This is like back in 80, 88, 89. And Poly S was my, it came in those glass jars with the cardboard seals. And it was really cool because after the paint was empty, you could use the bottle as a miniature to hold your miniatures when you painted them.
So these were the first two bases I did, and just like you, I'm just comparing my bases. And actually, I think I went a little too heavy with the medium gray or the medium warm gray. Where these I kept a little bit more black showing through.
Right.
But now I'm going to go through with just a bright warm gray and do a super, super light, just here and there touches with this. And I think my bases will be done. This should be enough to get what I have done on the table, at least base. I might need to do one or two. I didn't do an actual count. Oh, crap. I have 6 more bases over here.
So you really didn't do an actual count.
I didn't. I found 6 more.
Well, actually, full disclosure, I ended up painting 4 more bases than I actually needed to have.
Well, that's a good thing.
Oh, I wish I could get rid of this damn cough.
A whole army with testers enamel.
Back in the day, Ralph Partha did they had a dragon of the month. Every month they put out a new colored dragon, and you got the first 12 they did were the colored dragons, and you got a little stand with a gem, and then that those stands formed a circle. Then you put the display was each one of their dragons behind that. And I painted every one of those 12 dragons with testers enamels because that's all I had access to.
Dang.
It was horrible.
Horrible.
And then I found Poly S paints. Ralph Partha paints were horrible.
Well, and as a kid, I was more into scale models, like most of us, I think.
Yeah, me too.
And all my tester enamels, I would have to get the peanut cracker to open them because I didn't know how to take care of paints. I'm surprised my parents let me play with such toxic chemicals as a child. Might explain a lot. But yeah, it was terrible. And then we'd get the cheap tester paintbrushes. You remember those?
Oh God, yeah.
They still make them.
I know, it's horrible.
And they worked for
not well.
Hey, as a child, they worked well. I thought that was
for what we're doing then. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I'm getting my last 6 done. So what is everybody else working on? Tough as nails, yes. We know Joe's working on Space Core. Painted with testers. Yes. Good stuff. Remember, the old lead models were actually kind of cool because you could use them as a pencil. Because they had.
Right.
I don't even think they actually have lead in them anymore. The metal models. I think it's just all tins and stuff.
Yeah, they
Apparently, we found out that lead is bad for us.
well, they only had the lead content to make them pliable, but yeah, lead is just bad. Lead is bad.
Yeah, there's something about lead being in paint and asbestos.
Greg is actually talking about that the fact that he had a bunch of lead miniatures painted with testers explains a lot. I wouldn't have said anything, Greg. I would have kept my mouth shut. I definitely know that's my problem. Between that and licking my brushes.
Well, according to the GW labels, red paint only causes cancer in California.
Awesome.
So as long as you're not licking red paint in California, you're
good to go. Well, you know something? I'd rather have the warning than not. So
there you go. Make your own decisions. Apparently, they must have at some point come up with some kind of a.
Well,
there are someplace like
there are many red dyes that are
toxic,
are hazardous.
All right,
my daughter, who it lets me know about them all the time.
There are my bases. It's base time. All right, now I can go through and do it. Oh, what you let me say? Terminator is going to be bring out the retirement. Oh, you're going to bring out Lenny from retirement. First spring.
Yeah, well, these new Terminators are awesome, dude.
Yeah.
These new Terminators are just gorgeous. And the new Deathwing Terminators, I'm getting ready to start 2 sets of the Death Knights. The detail on those are just exquisite.
Can we nickname Lenny GG? Goblin Green?
Goblin Green?
GG.
I would rather not. That would trigger me.
Okay.
My kids all refer to my former mother-in-law as GG, great grandma.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, that would trigger me.
All right. We won't.
I think I just depressed Bethany by saying we can't do that. It would trigger me. He's like, go for it.
Do it. So now I'm just going to kind of run through and just kind of like, I don't know, speckle or I'm not trying to get too curious. I'm just trying to add a little bit of brightness to them.
Greg, are you working on your revilers today or going to try to work on your revilers today? Greg plays a chapter of Marines called the Revilers, and they're absolutely gorgeous. Greg's a bit like Bo, that he subconsciously, because he's a phenomenal painter, and he subconsciously, even though he says he's trying to do just a base table quality job, they're usually better than just what we would consider tabletop quality. And Greg has a hard time, dialing it down.
Who was it? I do where I Cecil. Back in
eyeliner?
No. Cecil back in the day used to have Bo do some of his commission work for him.
Yeah.
Because Bo didn't know how to do tabletop quality. Bo just painted Bo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the problem is though, Bo would tell people, well, you just want the basic paint job, okay, and he'd charge them less money, but give them the high end paint job anyway.
And that's why Cecil used them, because he knew it's like, yeah, he's going to charge me less, but he's going to do a phenomenal job.
Bo can't dial it down.
Right. He's Bo.
Yep.
Does he still do commission paint? I don't
know. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
All right.
Yeah, I really got to move my camera.
Not liking it?
Well, actually, all you're getting is basically a picture of the back of my hand. See?
That's true.
Yeah, so I'm going to move my camera. So when we come on the night, I'll have the camera relocated.
All right, so Greg's saying he is working on it, and he's filling the gaps on the Dreadnought's leg right now.
Ooh, sweet.
And Joe is saying Bo still does commission paint.
Good. Bo was awesome.
Yeah. All right, bases go that way now.
And I really wish I could get Greg to post pictures of his revilers on our Discord.
Yeah. Now, one of the things, just so everybody watching, because it seems like we got a pretty decent sized audience today. If you all paint something during this weekend or get something done relatively soon, send us a picture because we want to redo the intro video. Like when you watch the intro video, I don't know if everyone is on when that shows. We kind of flashed through a bunch of pictures. I think those came from the last time we did this.
We did it. No, we did a competition. We literally had a painting contest. And I told everybody, do your best job, and then those pictures became what we put into the intro.
Okay. Well, we can do that now because we need to redo. We're working. Jeff is working on redoing the intro because we're getting rid of like the Jackal Garage stuff and just changing some stuff up.
Yep.
Just updating. So if you have some, or if you just have a model that you're just super, super proud of.
Just a model that you want to paint that you think you want to have, because basically what we'll do is put it in the intro and with your name on it so people can see what our guys that watch the show paint.
Yeah. So please share. And that way when we redo all that intro stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah, because I think we were talking about doing the Imperial Outpost Network clip.
Yes.
And adding a few other little things to it.
Yep. And Greg did actually post his revilers to the Discord about 30 minutes ago. Awesome. I can't wait.
All right. So yeah, there's my stippled base.
Nice.
So it's got like a little concrete-y kind of look to it, but keeping it dark grim. Grim dark, dark grim. What are we? We're
grim dark.
We're grim dark.
It's called grim dark. I'm not a fan of grim dark.
I'm not.
But it works good on bases.
Well, for what I think I'm trying to accomplish, it's gonna like the green, like that guy just like even from that far, it just really stands out.
Well, you're also talking about what, 15 mil?
Well, I don't know. I don't think these are 50. These aren't 15 mil. I think these are.
8 mil.
8 mil. I know they're not. They're a little bit bigger than.
Well, Epic I think used to be 6.
Yes. But I don't think they could have come close with the amount of detail at the Epic scale at 6.
No, but
because the old Epic models are horrific.
They're tiny.
And they're just terrible. They look like crap.
I found the other day, going through one of my old bits boxes, I found some Forge World Epic Dreadnoughts.
Oh yeah.
And they're in. You have to mount the arms and legs.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no wonder I never built these. They're a pain in the rear end.
I have a ton of Epic Forge World models.
Oh my God.
For the Orc army. I have a couple Warhound Titans from Forge World. I have a lot of Aeronautica Imperialis Forge World stuff.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Well, when I got introduced to Epic, it was an out of production thing, but it still had there was still a lot of inventory left on the market.
Right. Yep.
So you could still go online and buy stuff. You could still find like stores retailing it out. You could find tons of it on eBay. So the old Epic minis are what got me into gold. Really?
Yeah, he's got like 12 golden demons.
Yeah, but how were you painting up like tanks to enter into Gold Demon?
He only has 2. I like to give him a hard time.
Hey, that's more than I got. But anyways, you could still buy a lot. So I ended up buying tons of Epic stuff because Anthony, one of the guys I was playing, we were having race wars. Like he was really good, and I would show up with new armies, and he'd show up with new armies because we were just buying new armies to outdo each other because it was just him and I playing. It was getting boring and just playing the same armies.
Right.
So one day I showed up with Necrons, and he didn't know how to deal with me. Like it totally threw him off his game, and he was like, I don't know what to do with the Necrons, because he would show up normally with his IG army.
One of the things I miss about being in the shop every day when I had Waterloo.
What's that?
Guys would come in and say, "Hey, I'm playing so and so this weekend. I'm not really sure, how to do this or this." And I go, and I would know what that other person had bought recently. Kind of like the plastic arms dealer. Greg said it was actually an Epic Army he painted for his store's demo board. He entered them into the Epic Army category back in the late 90s, and they won.
Very cool.
Morning, Reagan.
Cool.
Greg is an actual really good painter.
Yeah. Well, do you want to keep going?
Well, we're at an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So,
I think we should wrap up.
I am going to change my camera to come in from the other side today, so tonight, because I'm not happy with how you can't see what's going on. So, not that you want to see what's going on, but it's better than looking at the back of my hand.
I'm switching camera angles. Unfortunately, I have to move to the side to see everything. But I got my bases done, so now the big push forward is going to be getting my infantry all based on, get them glued to the bases. So that's going to be exciting. And when I'm doing, so what I'll do first is I'm going to wash all my tanks, get a nice black wash or earth shade on them just to shade them, and just sit there and let those dry, because I want to make sure it gets a good couple hours to dry. And while those are drying, I'll start working on mounting my infantry. So that's going to be my big push today, is getting all my infantry mounted, getting my tanks washed, and probably by this afternoon I'll be dry brushing tanks.
I just want to get these 6 models done. That's it.
Yeah. But again, you're painting to a certain level. So on the plus side of life, my internet held up.
We didn't have any snags with that. That's actually really good.
Yeah, so that's a plus. I'm going to be excited. So you're going to set up the stream for this evening, so that'll be another test.
As soon as we log out, I'll set up tonight's stream and see how that works.
So
if we have any issues with your side of it,
we'll test it again, and all we can do is continue to chug along forward and try to figure out exactly what's going on with the my internet. So, but I'm thinking if it continues to happen, I think the only thing I can really fall back on is just start replacing my routers, because they are old.
Something.
So I think that would be my next step.
Yep.
Replace routers. So does anybody got anything to add to the conversation? Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and cut out. And I've got a lot to get done today. And I'm looking forward to it. I want to get this all done.
Now we'll be back on tonight at 7 p.m. AZ time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, with a follow-up where we're at today. And
have a super awesome rest of your day too, Bethany. It was nice having you here.
Thanks for dropping in, Bethany. And Lenny, thanks for dropping in, buddy.
Yeah.
So that'll be our show for tonight to get us caught up for what we did today. And then we have 2 shows tomorrow to wrap up our hobby-thon, or whatever we're calling it.
Our hobby-thon. We're just making words up. I don't paint as much as anymore, you guys, but if you ever want me to, the Emperor's Tarot card. Yes, we should have you do that. That would be fun. We kind of know how he ends. So, all right, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. And thank you for joining us, Aaron. It's always good to have everybody join us. And
absolutely.
Take part, especially these weekends, because this is like a big thing for Jeff and I. We block out all of our personal stuff, everything we normally do, and we just focus on painting a big paint project and show everybody that it can be done. It's not something we just talk about. It's something we actually do.
You can get it finished.
And we try to get them finished, and I just have fun doing it. And it's actually getting us back into the painting on stream, which is what we ultimately want to start doing. I missed the comments. Anytime. There you go. All right, we're gonna get out of here. We will see you guys this evening. See everybody this evening. Get some stuff painted, and again, share onto our Discord channel because we want to get photos to update our intro video and all that great stuff. So see y'all later.
See you guys.
Bye.